Welcome, my name is Travis, and I'm going to be your guide here on Kennedy's Voyage of Discovery. Here beside me is our co-host for the day, Chaos, my falconry bird, and that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. Some of the questions I've gotten from friends and relatives and stuff about falconry and how I got started in it. So sit back, relax, and hopefully you'll enjoy this. I'd like to thank you for tuning in, and if you enjoy the content that you're about to see, please hit the like and subscribe button on the YouTube, and maybe I'll be able to make some more videos. Okay, now let's get on to it. What is falconry? Falconry is the hunting of wild animals in their natural state and habitat by means of a trained bird of prey, such as my red-tailed hawk, Chaos. I've had Chaos for about a year now. I got him when he was a baby, or a youngling I should say, before his first molt. He's getting ready to go on to his second molt now. He's got the characteristic red tail. Falconry is split into two groups. There's the falconers, who work primarily with the long wings, the falcons, peregrines, which I really want to learn how to fly. I've worked with the smallest of our natural falcons. I believe it's the smallest, the American kestrel, a sweet little bird named Angel, who has since gone on to another falconer who it sounds like she's doing very well, so I'm thankful for that. The other side of it is the Austringer, which is what I don't think I pronounced that right. It's a German word, Austringer. It's a person that primarily flies the short wings, the hawks, like the red-tailed hawk, the Paris hawk, goshawk. They, in antiquity, they were considered a separate class of falconer, basically. Nowadays, if you fly a bird of prey, you're a falconer, which is cool. The first questions I usually get is, how did you get into falconry? And I will say this, one of the first memories I got about falconry, well, two of them, is one is watching Wild America on Sundays with my mom and dad and seeing Jim Fowler playing around with a goshawk and an eagle, and I was hooked. Well, a few years later, I watched a movie called Lady Hawk. Once again, it just sparked something in me. I wanted to learn how to do it. So, fast forward a few years, I went into the military when I was 18, and I got out, and a few years later, I decided I wanted to start learning about falconry. So I was living out here in Washington at the time, started looking into it, trying to find out, who I get a hold of. And back then, about 20 years ago, it was more difficult. You didn't have as much computer stuff. I was able to get some information from the state of Washington, but after getting some books, I got probably 4 or 5 books and really started reading and studying about falconry, I figured out that I wasn't in a financial situation where I could keep a bird and know that it was going to be healthy and well cared for. So, for the next 20 years, right around there, I studied. And I read book after book on falconry. And I continued to study and reread the books. And and learned everything that I could. Watched videos on YouTube and stuff once they started really showing up. And after that, about 2 years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I started really looking into becoming a falconer. And that's when I finally sat down and I talked to a few people and I got a sponsor and went in and I was really stressed getting ready for the test. I spent probably about 3 months just studying for the test. And I went in and got done with the test. It was, I think about an hour that I sat in there taking it. It's like, I got out of there and I was like, I so failed this test. I got 98 out of 100, I think is what it was. It was a pretty decent score. So, long story short, I started my apprenticeship. I didn't progress too fast the first year. I wasn't able to get in touch with my sponsor as much as I wanted to and needed to. It took me a long time before I was able to get a bird, but I made other contacts within the falconry community at the same time, and I was able to get a new sponsor, a local man, Ron. He was a godsend, and I had actually talked to him about 20 years before about learning about falconry, and I had actually gotten to go out and visit him at his place and see some of his hawks, and that's when I really decided that I wasn't financially sound enough for it. And so I was thrilled when he agreed to be my sponsor. I was jumping for joy, really. I mean, and I had my muse all built up. I built a muse inside my garage, in one corner, and I got my first bird, which was an American kestrel that another falconer had, and they transferred her to me. And that bird, I probably learned more with that bird in that year, well, probably 8 months or whatever, I think is what I had her. But I was weighing her 3 times a day. I was, making sure that I was feeding her properly, and I was as bad as I was when my daughter was first born. I just totally stressed out. Oh, I'm screwing this all up. And we had a lot of fun, but I was never able to really get her to go after too much game. She went after some sparrows and stuff. So it was a lot of fun, and I really miss her. She was a good bird. But she moved on, and I was able to, from another falconer, she was out trapping, and she happened to catch a hawk, a red tail, and knew that I was having no luck with my trapping yet. I kind of had multiple sponsors. I had 3 guys I could talk to and call whenever I had a question, and they were more than happy to answer my questions. And there was Steve, Ron, of course, my actual sponsor, and Al, which I've talked to him for years about falconry, and I've never met him yet. I met Steve, I met Ron, but I'm looking forward to eventually meeting Al. But yeah, so that was kind of my journey. It's now been 2 years. I passed my apprenticeship time, and I have my general falconer's license now, and I'm looking forward to working more. Another question I get is, what do you feed the bird? Well, a variety of things. Quail, chicken, rabbit. I order frozen, dead, pre-killed chickens. They're like week-old chickens or month-old chickens. Also, same thing with the quail. And I was raising rats. I've kind of gotten out of that because it's more work than I really want to put into I want to enjoy the bird, but I don't want to have to deal with the rat. Other than that, whatever he manages to catch, and I haven't had much luck with hunting with chaos this year or last. I'm just with my I'm disabled. I'm on a cane. And during the winter time, it's really hard for me at times to get out there. I do, but it's not the quality that I really need to start putting in. It's really painful for me to get out there into the snow and stuff. But that's something that I've been working on and getting out there more and more with him. But my slips, because I can't walk a long ways, I'm not getting him very good slips and stuff. And it's frustrating for me, and I know it's frustrating for him, though he loves coming to me when I'm out flying him and stuff. So, other questions I get. How do I get him to come back to me? Well, that's just all food conditioning. It started out when I first got him, and sat in a room with him, and just held him on my glove, and he actually started eating from my glove pretty quickly within the first 6 or 7 hours, which is not uncommon, but it's not usual. It usually takes a couple, 12 hours, or so. From everything that I've read on, it's only my second bird, so I'm not an expert by any means. Don't quote me on anything that I say, because I'll probably say something wrong, and I'm probably going to get a whole lot of hate from people. What was the question? Oh yeah, how do you get him to come back? It's just a lot of food. You give him tidbits on the glove, and he comes, and he gets to associate you with food, and that's kind of the relationship. You're the refrigerator, the person that points the food, and he is the one that catches it. He's then during the winter time, he sits in the house with us, with the dogs. I got little dogs that run around, a Chihuahua, a Rat Terrier, an Italian Greyhound, and a couple German Shepherds. Which, I'll get into that in another video, because that's a whole another story, my dog training and stuff. That's another question I get, because most people know that I'm a dog trainer as well. What was scarier first time? Catching a bird on your arm, or having a dog attack you on your arm? Hands down, the dog. I mean, it's scary seeing it was a Malinois. My first time that a dog came at me and grabbed my arm with my sleeve on was a fully trained Malinois at the Tom Rose School. And this dog I loved this dog, it was beautiful, but when it came at me and attacked me, I saw its eyes roll up in the back of its head like a great white shark, and all I saw was teeth and blood and slime, because the dog got so excited that it would often bite its tongue and get blood mixed in with the saliva. So yeah, that was pretty terrifying. But I'm off subject again. I could go on for hours about falconry, and if you like these videos, maybe I'll do a few more about falconry, show some of the training that I do, maybe be able to get out on a hunt or two with the bird. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. I mean, there's nothing more exhilarating than having a wild animal willingly come back to you and sit on your arm and eat its dinner, and to know that you can release it, and watch it fly away, and know that it will come back, or have faith that it will come back, because I know at some point I will go out there when he's too fat, or he'll just find a nice place that he wants to be, and he'll decide, well, it's time for us to part ways. Or in a year or two, when I decide that I've learned all that I can from him, I'll decide, well, it's time for you to go back home and out into the wild and have babies of your own. which that is one of the most important things about falconry, is giving these birds more of a chance to survive, because a lot of the birds, when they're first out of the nest, their first winter, they'll often starve to death or die in some other way. So falconers as a whole really help bring back birds of prey all across the world. It's an art, and it's a sport and an art at the same time, and I love it. And, you know, I used to be a really big hunter. Once I got out of the Army, I still shoot rifles and stuff where I did, but I'm more nervous around rifles and firearms now than I ever used to be. And this gives me a way to get back into nature and to be able to hunt still, but without the gunfire and stuff. Between this and archery, I can get out there and hunt and not be as stressed, as worried. So, I guess I don't know much else what to say, so I think I'll close this up for now, and hope you enjoyed this video. Have a good day.